Let's start with something honest, something a lot of people are afraid to say out loud. Losing a parent is a kind of devastation that alters you at your core. It's not just sadness, it's a seismic shift, a before and after you feel in your bones. Imagine the person who shaped your childhood, who taught you love and resilience, who was always just a phone call away, is suddenly gone. The world feels hollow. The silence is deafening. Now, imagine trying to process all of that, wading through the thick fog of grief, and instead of compassion, you're met with strangers dissecting your appearance, your body, as if you're just some trending topic. How would you even begin to cope? This is exactly the storm Kelly Osbourne finds herself weathering right now. As I scrolled through the headlines and the avalanche of comments, I felt a surge of anger at the callousness, the entitlement, the way people forget there's a real human being behind every photo. And then, beneath the anger, an ache, because it's not just about Kelly. It's about all of us, about how we treat each other when we're at our most vulnerable. Let's really talk about this, about loss, about grief, about public scrutiny, and the way we collectively fail to extend basic empathy. If you haven't been following along, here's the context. Kelly Osbourne, now 41, has essentially grown up with the world watching. As the daughter of rock legend Ozzy Osbourne and the formidable Sharon Osborne, Kelly was thrust into the spotlight before she could even choose it. Remember her on The Osbournes? She was the bold, quick-witted girl with purple hair who never shied away from speaking her mind. She hasn't glossed over her struggles, her battles with weight, her journey through addiction. She's been unflinchingly honest, letting us all in on her highs and lows, her victories and defeats. But nothing could have prepared her for what happened in July 2025. Ozzy Osbourne, her dad, her idol, the person she once called her guiding star, passed away at 76 after a long public fight with Parkinson's. Even if you only caught a glimpse of their reality show, you could see the fierce love that held that family together. Ozzy was never just a father to Kelly. He was her shield, her inspiration, her anchor in a world that's often unkind. Grief, when it comes, isn't just emotional, it's physical. It hollows you out, shakes your foundation, leaves you wandering through your days like a stranger in your own skin. Eating feels impossible. Sleep is elusive. And every mirror reminds you of how much you've changed. Anyone who has lost a parent knows you don't just mourn the person, you mourn the version of yourself you were when they were still here. Fast forward to February 2026, the Brit Awards in Manchester, a massive event broadcast worldwide. Kelly and Sharon step onto that stage to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award for Ozzy. Try to picture that for a moment, standing under blinding lights, in front of thousands, speaking for someone you adored and lost, your grief still raw and unprocessed. It should have been a celebration of legacy, a moment of collective remembrance. And for many, it was a bittersweet tribute. But the internet, as it so often does, chose a different path. Within minutes, the focus shifted from Ozzy's legacy to Kelly's appearance. People zeroed in on her weight, on how she looked thinner than before. Instead of recognizing the courage it took to show up at all, strangers began to speculate, to judge, to tear down. Comments flooded social media, scrutinizing every inch of her body, her face, her arms, her cheekbones. Accusations flew. She must be on Ozempic. She's had work done. Did she get buccal fat removal? The cruelest of all, someone called her a corpse bride. Imagine the pain of hearing that just weeks after losing your father. It's an ugliness that words can barely capture. It's not just about celebrity or body image. It's about how we, as a society, have normalized this kind of cruelty. There's a strange toxic thrill people get from speculating about celebrity bodies, as if their pain is entertainment. We've created an environment where grief is not sacred and vulnerability is met with suspicion. Instead of asking, "Are you okay?" we ask, "What's wrong with your face?" But Kelly didn't stay silent. She refused to be a passive target for other people's projections. On Instagram stories, she spoke out forcefully and with clarity. She called out the heartlessness of those who would kick someone already down, the pain of having your personal struggles twisted into gossip fodder. She said, in no uncertain terms, that she was enduring the worst season of her life and shouldn't have to justify or explain herself to anyone. But she also made it clear, She would not let herself be dehumanized. And when it came to the Ozempic rumors, she didn't dodge or deflect. She addressed them head-on. Because, for some reason, the collective assumption is that any woman who loses weight, especially under duress, must be chasing a fad drug. Kelly set the record straight. She didn't take Ozempic. She lost weight the hard, painful, involuntary way that so often comes with grief. In a moment of dark humor, she even pointed out that it was her mother, Sharon, who had used Ozempic, a fact Sharon herself has always been open about. But Kelly, she was simply surviving. The real story here isn't about weight loss, or cosmetic procedures, or what people think they see on a red carpet. It's about how we treat each other at our lowest points. It's about the harm we do when we forget to see the person behind the headline. Grief is not a spectacle. It's not a scandal. It's a universal human experience, and the least we can do, the bare minimum, is to respond to it with empathy, not judgment. If there's anything to learn from Kelly Osbourne's experience, it's this. We need to be better, not just to celebrities but to each other. Every one of us will face loss. Every one of us will struggle with pain that can't be seen. The world is hard enough already. The least we can do is meet each other with kindness, with understanding, and with the compassion we all hope to receive when our time comes. This isn't the first time Kelly Osbourne has faced a wave of public scrutiny about her appearance, and, heartbreakingly, it probably won't be the last. Think back to last December, when she bravely posted a video responding to the endless onslaught of comments. Questions like, "Are you ill?" and unsolicited commands like, "Get off Ozempic, you don't look right." In that video, her words were raw and devastating. "My dad just died. I'm doing the best I can. The only thing I have to live for right now is my family." It's hard to overstate the weight of that confession. Here is a woman, absolutely hollowed out by loss, publicly admitting that the only thing anchoring her to this world is her love for her family. In a moment of such vulnerability, instead of compassion, she got strangers dissecting the angles of her face, reducing her suffering to speculation about her weight. It's almost unfathomable, but unfortunately, it's a pattern we see over and over, a person's worst moments becoming fodder for armchair critics. Her mother, Sharon Osborne, didn't stay silent. She never does, not when it's about her children. Sharon went on national television, sitting across from Piers Morgan, and spoke with a kind of plain, unvarnished pain that only a mother can. She said, "She's right. She's lost her daddy. She can't eat right now." There was nothing performative about it, just the simple, gutting truth of a daughter's grief manifesting physically, robbing her of even the basic ability to nourish herself. That's the reality. When someone you love dies, especially a parent, the world loses color. Food turns tasteless, daily routines become meaningless, and the body's needs are drowned out by the tidal wave of sorrow. Anyone who has grieved knows this intimately. It's as if the body and soul are at odds. The body expects to survive, but the soul is busy just trying to make it through the next minute. People forget how physical grief can be, how it stretches into every corner of your life, even the most ordinary ones. Sharon called out the people behind the comments, describing them as unhappy individuals hiding behind the anonymity of social media. That's a truth worth repeating. We are so quick to judge from behind screens, never pausing to consider what's actually happening in someone else's life. How many times have we misjudged someone based on a snapshot, a headline, or a rumor? We convince ourselves we know the full story, when in reality, we're only seeing a sliver of a person's experience, often the sliver they never wanted to share. Those closest to Kelly confirm what Sharon said. She can barely eat, and she's acutely aware of how her body is changing. But her looks are the furthest thing from her mind. Right now, she's simply trying to get through each day, to survive a loss that has left her fundamentally changed. It's survival, not vanity. It's important to remember that Kelly's body has been a topic of public conversation for decades. She's been shamed and scrutinized since she was a teenager, with tabloids and strangers alike dissecting every fluctuation in her weight. She's been called too big, too small, and never ever left alone. She's spoken candidly about her gastric sleeve surgery in 2018, about losing 85 pounds, about the weight she gained during her pregnancy with Sydney due to gestational diabetes. At every turn, the public felt entitled to an opinion about her body, and through all of it, Kelly has remained honest, sharing her struggles without sugarcoating them, refusing to apologize for simply being herself. So, this latest round of commentary isn't new, but it hits differently. It's one thing to be criticized when you're standing on solid ground. It's another thing entirely when you're on your knees with grief. The timing makes it crueler, the words sharper, the misunderstanding deeper. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening in the wake of the greatest heartbreak of her life. At the Grammys, just weeks ago, she said, "It's the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life." Those words ring out with a special resonance when they come from someone who's weathered so many storms. Kelly Osbourne is not new to hardship, but this pain is different. This is grief as a tidal wave, and she's just trying not to drown. What's truly disturbing, and worth examining, is how Kelly's experience exposes the relentless way we police women's bodies, especially in the public eye. The moment a woman's body changes, whether she gains weight, loses it, ages, or simply changes with time, it's as if her body becomes community property, open to public debate and criticism. We do this even when she's in mourning, even when she's honoring her father's legacy on a stage, carrying both her own grief and her family's. The scrutiny doesn't pause for tragedy. Instead, it seems to intensify. Kelly herself put it best. She shouldn't have to defend herself. She shouldn't have to explain her grief, her appetite, her appearance to strangers. The fact that she felt backed into a corner, forced to respond, is a reflection of how loud and relentless the negativity can be. It's a sad state of affairs when the pain of loss is compounded by the pain of public judgment. Yet, in the midst of all this ugliness, there have been moments of real warmth and solidarity. Fans, some who have followed Kelly since the Osbournes, some who know firsthand what grief can do to a body, have rallied around her. They've offered understanding, shared their own stories, and reminded her, and all of us, that compassion still exists. Sharon, of course, has been a pillar, her voice cutting through the noise with love and fierceness. There's a quiet, profound beauty in seeing a mother and daughter walk across that stage together, both grieving the same man. One lost a husband, the other a father. Dressed up for a night that should have been a celebration, they stood side by side, holding each other up, accepting an honor that's both a tribute and a reminder of what's missing. In that moment, they weren't just celebrities or public figures. They were simply two women bound by love and loss, showing the world what resilience looks like. Kelly's story is a reminder that behind every headline, every viral moment, every photo picked apart by strangers, there's a real person living a real life, one that's often messier and sadder, but also more beautiful and complicated than any outsider could ever know. If nothing else, maybe it's time we all learn to look a little deeper and to listen a little harder before we presume to judge.